Compared to what?
That's what you.
Yeah, I like right. It does. Yeah, right. Yo, John.
Good afternoon and welcome to Fellowship Hall. After our invocation, which will be given by Gene Alhart, senior active member since 1939, with 48 years of perfect attendance, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and then America the Beautiful, played by Jerry Shaughnessy, and led by past President Bob Buckpitt. Gene.
From Psalm 118, verse 24, it says, "This is a day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." So as we pray, our Father, who art in heaven, we do thank thee for thy many blessings. We ask thy blessing upon the food that we've had. We ask thy blessing upon the past presidents who have served this club so faithfully. We're thankful for to see him make an effort to make this club better. And so as we think in terms of making an effort, we are so thankful for our President Pete, who has made a real difference in our club, his devotion and zeal and love has led us on to make that difference. And as we look at our Sunshine Camp, the work that has been done there, the young boys and girls that come, we know that there has been a difference made there, for which we thank thee. As we think of the boys of industry and those who have visited them on their birthdays, we are hopeful that a great difference has been made in many of their lives. So we thank thee for the vision of Pete Kelderhouse's leadership. We know that he has made a difference in that leadership that has helped us all. And now as the gavel is passed on to Matt, we ask thy blessing upon him, for we know that thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing to honor our past president, Bob Craig, and to help with my vote, let's greet one another.
all I know.
To introduce, thank you very much. To introduce our visiting Rotarians and guests, Curry Bradley, Club Sergeant Arms, John W. Dansford Company, a member since 1972, and a great friend to me and Rotary.
Thank you, President Pete. Hi, Marv. I just have a couple of things to do. Just remember, old soldiers or sergeants never die. I want to thank everyone this year that helped me with all the cooperation and everything. Assistant Sergeant Arms, weekly meetings, Eastern City's dinner. With all those that helped me during the year, stand up.
Harry, 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 Harry.
Okay, and I want to just say too, it's been a pleasure to serve under the president. Okay, let's get to the business at hand here. I'd like to introduce our visiting Rotarians. They represent clubs here in District 7120, as well as clubs from beyond our district. Visiting Rotarians, please stand as I call your name so that members of our club may recognize you, and then remain standing so that President Pete may greet you formally. One that isn't signed up here from Corning, our District Governor, Bob Hunt. Hi, Bob. From Spencerport, Thomas Rogers. Hi, Tom. From Spencerport, Peter Livingston.
Hi, Peter.
From Irondequoit, Chuck Cantillo.
Hi, Chuck.
From Pelmar Macedon, Robert Levin.
Hi, Bob.
From Rochester AM, Charlie Kyler. Two Rotarians that have traveled from beyond our district. From Syracuse, Mark Eisenhower.
Hi, Mark.
And special honors today go to our visitor who's traveled the farthest to be with us. He is Alan Ladd. Alan is from Spartansburg, South Carolina. And Alan, as a reminder of your visit to our club, we have a gift courtesy of our member Andy Hale, president and owner of McLeod Stamp and Drawing Company, which will be presented to you by Assistant Sergeant at Arms Lisa Hill. President Pete, our visiting Rotarian.
It's always great to have Rotarians visit various clubs to make up, to have their attendance. And our Tuesday luncheons, we welcome you very much. So please take our greetings back to your club, and let's welcome one more time.
And now for our many guests that are with us today. Using the Rochester Rotary one-clap greeting, please greet the following guests as I introduce them. Guests, please stand as I call your name and then remain standing so that President Pete may greet you formally also. Guest of Richard Orzik, Mary Orzik. Wolkerhausen has several guests. Lisa Lottie Clendenin, Bonnie Clendenin, Trevor Clendenin, Kristen Sharp. Harry Blazer brings an exchange student from Turkey again to visit with us today, Devon Eltonos. Phil Kimmel brings Talbot Curtin. With Gaynell Weathers, we have Monique Wiley Wright. Guest of Joe Rixner, Lois Rixner. Guest of Dick Reinholz, Lori Tomes. Guest of Sue Costa, her son, Michael Navarrete. Guest of Chuck Tandil, how about that? Frank DeRizio. Now it's over. Guest of Hal Flyingboom, Elizabeth Gaidecki. Guest of Don Tweetmeyer, Bob St. George. Guest of Bob Klinger, we have Sue Klinger and Will Phelps. And guest of President Pete, Ann Kelderhouse. Tracy Rogers, Linda Borchard, Mike Taylor, Pete Kelderhouse Jr., Jan Ray, Bob Ray, Jim Page, Anita Festa, and Howard Smith. President Pete, our guest.
Wow. Thank you so very much for coming to our Tuesday Luncheon Forum. Thank you very much for coming for this last meeting. It's going to be a great meeting. And please do not be strangers on Tuesdays. Let's welcome one more time. On my right is Don Alhart, Rochester Rotary Club President, 1987-88. He's Associate News Director of WOKR-TV 13, member since 1976. Don.
Thank you, President Pete. Taking a look at some of our news headlines today, not an awful lot of information, but there was a crash of a small plane about 9:30 this morning down in Cohocton, and actually landed right in the village, I'm told. 2 people dead. I assume the people who were on the plane, it was a rented plane out of New Hampshire, so if you have any people that may be flying from this area, it is a plane from New Hampshire, but at least 2 dead. Former White House Press Secretary D.D. Myers arrested and charged with driving under the influence of alcohol. Police Department spokesman said Myers was arrested about 12:45 a.m. driving on the wrong side of the street in Washington. Probably a few puns we could make there. And the only thing I can find that tops that, you may have read this morning paper, Roger Clinton, the president's brother, spent the night in the White House, slept in the Lincoln Room. He says Mary Todd Lincoln is still there. Okay. Wall Street before noon, the Dow Jones Industrials up 13 points. I should say those for the end. 45.64. Kodak is up an eighth at 61 3/4. IBM is up 3/8 at 98 5/8. Rochester Community Savings up an eighth, 19 1/8. Xerox unchanged at 114 1/2. Considerable cloudiness, about a 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms today. Mostly cloudy, about a 60% chance of rain again tonight. We're finally getting that rain that we've been looking for about a month. Tomorrow, a 40% chance of afternoon showers, a high 75 to 80. And for this final newscast of President Pete's term, with a little help from David Letterman and little ghostwriting suggestions from Barry Culhane, I offer you the top 10 signs you are about to become a past president of Rochester. Number 10, Vince Stanley removes you from his telephone speed dial index. Number 9, you call Bob Enright and the Rotary staff asks if he can get back to you in a few days. Number 8, the booster step is removed from the Rotary rostrum. Reason number 7, you voice your opinion at a committee meeting and 5 people say, so what? Number 6, you get committee notices, but your meeting location is different from everyone else. Reason number 5, you're about to become a past president. Even Andy Hale won't give you a pen. Reason number 4, Tom Mees starts coming to Tuesday meetings again. Reason number 3, George Pataki is not scheduled for a Tuesday meeting. Reason number 2, you stand next to John Hart singing the national anthem and he begins to sound good. And the number 1 reason why you're about to become a past president, you pick a name from the bowl of someone who was at the Rotary meeting and they still don't want to have lunch with you.
Barry Culhane here. Over the last 50-some weeks, it's always been a great pleasure of mine to be able to make the following introduction, and that's to a member who will introduce a new member to our club. So Volker Hossein, who's consultant with VGH Marketing Computer Group. He's been a member since 1993, and he's very willing to share someone with this club, a new member. Please.
When you are in Africa, you not only present yourself and the Peace Corps, you also carry our flag. Now let's talk about John. In lectures at many universities, including Columbia, Harvard, Princeton, and Stanford, in the areas of quality, benchmarking, manufacturing competitiveness, supply chain optimization, and business process management. now a civilian, a motivator of athletes, men and women, a caring individual, an American, and now a Rotarian. Welcome.
We're going to do something different. We're going to have a new member take 30 seconds at a cost of $25 a second.
I say that because as I grew up in difficult circumstances in Long Island many years ago in the 1950s, I was privileged to be allowed the opportunity to go to Rotary Camp Grant. My mother, who is very dear to me, cherished certain things, and I'd like to show you here at the beginning. This is my T-shirt from Rotary Camp Grant, and I have made full circle. I'm here to serve. Thank you very much.
Does Rotary make a difference? It sure does. Jacob Rhodes is the president and COO of the YMCA of Greater Rochester. He's a member since 1992, and he would like to make an introduction.
Thank you, President Pete. You don't have to step forward. It's my pleasure to introduce to you and to the Rotary Club our newest member, William G. Clark, who's president of the Urban League of Rochester, an office he's held since January of 1994, when his previous occupant moved to a somewhat more complicated job at City Hall.
Bill, welcome to Rotary. Wear this pin proudly. I know you've been introduced by a great Rotarian. It's going to be a great example for you, so we welcome you. Thanks a million. Jacob, thank you. We have a couple of Rotary announcements. The Rochester Rotary Course, under the direction of Wendell Harrison, member since 1990, has asked Director Henry Herring to make an announcement.
Good afternoon. I've been solicited by our Director, Wendell Harris, to come before you to solicit some participants for our chorus. As we all know, Wendell is a perfectionist. We've had a lot of fun with this chorus. It's now sanctioned as a committee. And what I'd like to do here is, Wendell, where are you at? Thank you. Stand. One of the things that we've tried to do here in this club is to enhance fellowship. And I think one of the reasons he had me come up here is because most of the individuals that know me know that I take committees very seriously. This particular committee is a very fine enhancement of the club, and it's going to allow us to do a number of things. It's going to allow us to take and become more unique. It's going to allow us to take and draw from our membership and some of the talents that we have that we really haven't plucked from the bush yet. And I think those of you that have joined the committee and are looking for another committee to help the club out, this is a fine opportunity.
Wendell, I promise you, when John Hart goes, I will be there.
John and I are both going to be there.
Then I'm going to be there.
Good.
If Perry Bradley would come up, I would like to now have my Sergeant at Arms assist me in recognizing the members of the board who are going off the board, who have made the effort to make a difference long before last year started, and has been doing a great job for the club, and we would like to recognize them on an individual basis. Please, if you're here, please come up. If not, and I'm pretty sure, I think James, I saw him come in, James D. Coleman, for his dedicated service as a member of the Board of Directors 1994 and 1995. Jim? And there he comes. As he's coming up, Rochester Rotary Club recognized with appreciation Henry D. Herring for his dedicated service as a member of the Board of Directors 1993 through 1995. Rochester Rotary Club recognizes with appreciation Craig M. Goodenow for his dedicated service as a member of the Board of Directors 1993-1995. Rochester Rotary Club recognizes with appreciation Robert E. Craig for his dedicated service as a member of the Board of Directors from 1988 through 1995. Past President. And my year, I recycled the Sergeant at Arms during Ray Birmingham's year. So we recognize with great appreciation H. Perry Bradley for his dedicated service as my Sergeant at Arms, 94-95. And now by bylaws, I call to order the special meeting of the Rochester Rotary Club for the purpose of voting on changes in the bylaws of the Rochester Rotary Club Incorporated. As required by our bylaws, Article 13, notice of this meeting was noted in Spoke 36, dated June 13th, 1995, mailed to the membership June 7th, 1995. Club Secretary and Executive Director Bob Enright will present the recommended bylaws amendments as recommended by the Board of Directors. Bob?
Thank you, President Pete. The following are changes to the bylaws. First one is to Article 1 concerning the size of the board, increasing the directors from 14 to 15. The second one is in change in Article 10, which has to do with the method of electing new members. First one, Article 1, Section 1, Directors. 5 directors shall be elected annually to serve a term of 3 years or until their respective successors are elected and qualified. The procedures for election shall be as follows. Subsection A, nominees. The Board of Directors shall select not less than 10, no more than 15 members of the club as nominees. No director who has served a full 3-year term shall be eligible to be nominee for the immediate successive term. Subsection B, election procedures. In addition, the form of proxy shall be printed so that an additional space is provided thereon for the members to designate 5 additional members as the member's choice of directors. The member shall vote for 5 members as selected from those nominated by the Board of Directors or from those the members may add. Article 1, Section 2, additional notification to be posted in the Rochester Rotary office for 2 consecutive weekly meetings of the membership. If no written objection of the proposal stating reasons is received by the board from any member of the club within 10 days following the posting of the application of the name of the prospective member shall be considered elected to the membership. President.
Thank you, Andy Hale. Do I hear a second?
President Pete, I'd like to second the motion and then the bylaws.
So thank you. Is there any discussion on the motions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, the motion is carried. And this special meeting of the Rochester Rotary Club is now closed. Johnny Sweat, Rotarian since 1967, past president 1978-79, past district governor, and a Paul Harris Fellow in 1984. However, John, this presentation, which I have the honor to be part of, is not about Johnny Sweat. It's about a special young lady who has been a most important part of John's life since their marriage in August of 1958. I asked John to what he attributed his success in both his personal and professional life, and without a moment's hesitation, which is unique for John, he answered, Nancy. Nancy, would you and John please join me at the podium? Where you live. You stayed involved in Rotary as a member of the Women of Rotary. Your work on behalf of the kids at the Sunshine Campus continues, and we thank you for all you and John have done over these years. RAUN has been an organization to which you have dedicated endless volunteer hours. Your work has enabled young adults to have a better understanding of the workings of the United Nations. And it is fitting that we honor you today for that work as the UN celebrates its 50th year. When one visits the Memorial Art Gallery, they can find you there serving as a docent. I asked what a docent was, and I was told no matter what it is, Nancy Certain is a decent docent. My last week. Rochester City School number 6, especially the 4th grade students, look forward to Nancy coming to school. She serves as teacher's assistant at the school once a week. Nancy, you well surpass all the necessary qualification one needs to become a Paul Harris Fellow. Therefore, it is a great pleasure that on behalf of your partner, your husband, and your constant companion, that I present you with a Paul Harris Fellow. Nancy Sweat.
I would like to say is that the year that John was governor, I became very impressed by the Rotary Foundation because of especially because of the group study exchange program. Our year it was the GSE with Senegal. So I'm very honored and touched to have the Paul Harris Award, but I think it's such a wonderful opportunity to honor the foundation. So thank you.
Okay. Rochester Performance, May 30th, 1995. We thank you so very much. And Larry, Rochester Rotary Club recognizes with appreciation Fred and Floyd Wilmot Foundation for generously supporting Rotary's efforts to encourage world peace and understanding through co-sponsorship of the Vasilevsky Music School Children's Chorus. Rochester Performance, May 30th, 1995. That's twice it's been mispronounced. You know, it's always great to be able to recognize various people for their efforts. And we have just completed the 1995 Rochester International LPGA. And I would personally like to thank Joe and Lois Rickner, Rich and Mary Orzak, Bob and Jean Burns for their efforts on behalf of the kids at the LPGA. Let's give them a round of applause. Over the past 10 years, there's been 2 couples that have been in the LPGA booth from this Rotary Club. And they are Robert and Linda Borchard and Robert and Jan Ray. Would they please come up to the podium? Rochester Rotary Club presented to Robert and Linda Borchard in appreciation of your 10 years of dedication on behalf of the kids at the LPGA. As you notice, the brass little thing here is a good meeting unless the Jim Morgan Fund benefited from it. This gentleman, even though he's going to take my number off his speed dialing, has been an instrumental part of this club and this community for well over all the years that I've been here in Rotary. Vince Stanley, would you please stand? The Democrat Chronicle on Monday, June 12th.
I didn't do it.
Your picture says you did, sir. But you do have a Rotary pin on, I think. Small Business Speaks, local delegation to Washington, D.C. seeking positive legislation. Job makers. And Vince Stanley from VJ Stanley Plumbing is pictured here. And I don't, my sources of getting this, I can't tell you who it is, but Krista appreciates everything you do for her also. $5 at the Jim Morgan Fund. Thank you so much. I made a call this morning because another Rotarian, see, I'm not going to get anybody to tell me about fines anymore, so I can do this. Fred Meacher sent me this, and I called John Blythe this morning. I said, John, I would like to recognize you on your new venture. And he said, Peter, I am very, very sorry, but I have a client, and I can't make your last meeting. In true Rotarian fashion, at 11:15, he found that he had a cancellation. And he called me and said, I will be at your meeting. And I said, bring your checkbook. It says here, Walworth attorney opens practice in Rochester. Local attorney John E. Blythe has announced the opening of a law practice at 510 Wilder Building, 1 East Main Street in Rochester. If I'm allowed to say this, I said, well, I'm going to have to pass this on to Matt. And kind of, I'll paraphrase a little bit. You said, let your conscience be your guide. And Matt almost got this. So on behalf of our club, we wish you well, and we thank you for your generous donation of my minimum fine of $25 to the Jim Morgan Fund. Thank you so much. I don't think there's been a year gone by that I have been a Rotarian that Andy Hale has not stood up and some president felt it was an honor and a privilege to fine Andy Hale. And I would not like that tradition to go past on my year. Andy Hale, would you please stand? I know you're in the back. And I asked you one time, Andy, would you come up front? And you said, no way, Jose. And I said, you're not speaking to Sue Costa, you're speaking to me, just say no. Andy, I asked you why you always sit in the back, and you said it's the only way that I can get a complete view of the membership of this club. Bill Flynn standing in front of you. But I noticed that until women came in Rotary a few years back that you sometimes sat in the front. Is there a method to that? Andy, what I'm going to do, because I feel that the Jim Morgan Fund does quite a lot of great things, and you have not been touched by this president in any way over my 52 weeks. So therefore, I am going to fine you without any question, without any hesitation, $100 to the Jim Morgan Fund. Is that okay with you, sir? No, sir? You cannot. Yes, sir, on July 1. Andy, thank you so much for what you do for this club. Let's thank him one more time. I would like to, before I do my last 3 minutes of remarks, I would like to thank my wife and my son for their support for me. Jim Page and Sherman Furniture for countless hours that they've worked extra so that I could serve as your president. And in Spoke You Read for this club, for being my friend and my heroes over my year. I thank you so very much. The 1994-1995 Rotary year is now part of history of this club. When I was asked to serve as your president, I was honored to be asked and a little nervous, as I am right now, in accepting your request. I was following a long list of successful presidents, and the club had just begun a new direction with the implementation of our strategic plan initiated by past presidents Harry Blazer and Bob Craig. Each year, themes for the Rochester Rotary Club, for the most part, focused on our Sunshine Camp program. I wanted the focus for 94-95 to encompass all of the 4 avenues of service. And with the help of Sergeant Arms Perry Bradley, we sat down and decided that our motto would be make the effort to make a difference. So with the Rotary International theme, Be a Friend, we began the 1994-1995 Rotary year. I'd like to spend a few minutes focusing on the 4 avenues of service as established by the founders of Rotary International as a way of reflecting upon this past year. First, club service. The mission statement of the Rochester Rotary Club begins with, and I quote, Rochester Rotary makes a difference in the lives of its members. I believe that we have achieved that goal and we will continue to be a dynamic organization. A small percentage of our attendance at meetings has grown, and individual participation in committees has also increased. As a result, our membership is vibrant, active, and continuing to grow. Our second avenue of service is vocational service. And I quote from the Rotary's Adventure in Service. Vocational service derives from the principle which is the very core of Rotary, the selection of members on a basis of classification. Every Rotarian is an example to youth. That's a motto with strong vocational overtones. Sheila, Jeff, and their entire committee this year made the effort to serve the youth of this community, and their efforts made the difference in so many young people's lives. Next, on to community service. This is the most widespread and single activity of the 27,000 plus Rotary clubs throughout the world. Referring once again to our Rochester Rotary's mission statement, and I quote, "Enhanced awareness of current community and world issues, Rochester Rotary is viewed as an important community resource that positively impacts residents of our community who have unmet special needs, particularly city young people and people with disabilities of all ages." Our examples of Rochester Rotary's community service are the continuing work of our LPGA committee, which we just recognized, and recent adoption of School Number 8. Before RI President Bill Huntley addressed a crowd of some 600 Rotarians at the Eastern Cities Fellowship Dinner last year, he visited School Number 8. He was so impressed with the work you all are doing that he and Mrs. Huntley requested a video presentation be made to all incoming district governors last spring in Anaheim, California. But more important than this presentation are the smiles on the young children's faces as Marty, as Ray, as Sheila, and Lydia, just to name a few of you, read and tutored the children in their classrooms. Or when Jan, Jeannie, Bob, Don, and so many others distributed clothes and food baskets to the children and their families. We also can't forget our partnership with the RPO and the opportunities afforded both the RPO and Rochester Rotary in making a difference for many children who will visit the Sunshine Camp this year. Finally, international service. The purpose of this avenue of service is, and I quote, "to encourage and foster the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world of fellowship of business and professional men and women united in the ideals of service." Just recently, we all enjoyed the fruits of the International Service Committee's work, along with many generous corporate donors in bringing the Russian Children's Choir here to Rochester. The children had so much more than an opportunity to sing for us that Tuesday last month. They, along with all of us, had the unique chance for a cultural exchange of ideas and emotions accomplished through the magic of these lovely children's voices and smiles. My thanks, too, to so many of you who promoted the international work of the Rotary Foundation of Rotary International by becoming Paul Harris Fellows this past year. Your support of Rotary International translates even into more opportunities to make a difference in the lives of our world neighbors in need. And before I conclude, what I like to do is honor one other person who, number one, I kind of said I like to do it toward the end, but I don't think I'm going to get a chance after my final remarks. So if Bob Klinger would come to the podium, I would like to recognize Bob Klinger and Sue. As you know, the LPGA does so much at Locust Hill. And over the years, and I think it must be, Bob, what, 4 years now with the hole-in-one, 5 years? 6 years. Time goes quick, trust me. Well, this year I think was a banner year with 4 spots that we could do a hole-in-one. Bob, presented to Bob and Sue Klinger in appreciation of your tireless efforts to the hole-in-one contest for the kids of LPGA. We recognize you for your untiring efforts on behalf of our kids. My time as your president is now almost concluded. So as I look back, I know that I have grown, and I hope you have. And so, with your permission, I would like to close with the following words, if I may. Thank you for not walking behind me, for at times I could not lead. Thank you for not walking in front of me, for at times I could not follow. Thank you for walking by my side and being my friend, for that has made all the difference. Thank you. My son said, "Dad, just take your time, you'll get through it." I remember saying that to him a lot of times. I would like to now introduce to you a friend of Rotary, a friend of this club, I know, our district governor, Bob.
Thank you, President Pete. It's always a joy for Cindy and I to be back in Rochester and see our many, many friends in Rochester Rotary. And I'd like to also to congratulate Nancy on your honor. Beautiful. Couldn't happen to a nicer person. Congratulations. And I'd also like to thank the Rochester Club for being a friend. Thanks for being a friend to your club. Thanks for being a friend to your community. And thanks for being a friend to the world. You have made a difference. When you stop and review the programs and the projects that you're involved in, yes, you make a difference. And yes, you are a friend. I thank you for it. Sometimes we do not receive the pats on the back and the awards that we should for these many, many efforts. But we know, and you know, in your heart, that you have helped many, many peoples of the world. And again, you have made a difference. And this doesn't just happen, as you know, without good, strong leadership. And I wanted to personally congratulate President Pete this year, today, on a fantastic year. I'm very proud of him, and I'm very pleased to be able to call Pete and Ann a friend. Great job, Pete. And thank you very much.
It was 1 year ago today, we were wondering whether we were going to get through this. So Bob, I'm going to welcome you back up here. Bob Craig is the past president of our club. He has the privilege of introducing his colleagues that sit down in front of me, a great, great bunch of gentlemen. Someone who I have called on repeatedly during my year for advice and counsel.
How many times?
A few. So without further ado, our past president, Bob Craig.
Thank you, President Pete. It's always a delight to come back to the podium, even though past presidents are only given 2 minutes to deal with anything at the podium. Just because I'm a media pass gives me a little bit more time to introduce this august group in front of us and also do a couple of other things. There are 2 people who are really pleased to have Pete end his year. One is his wife, Ann, because now she can get to see him a lot more often. And the other is a fellow that we've seen a few times that's come up from Poughkeepsie, who is the CEO of Sherman Furniture Rental, and that is Pete's boss, Jim Page. And Jim, if you'd like to come to the podium for a second, please. Just keep smiling, Peter. It's all right.
I take it still is President Peter.
Yes.
This may cost me, but so be it. I just wanted to say good afternoon, everyone, and it gives me great pleasure to be here today for several reasons. At Sherman's Furniture, we take great pride in celebrating our successes, whether they are company-related or whether they are individually related. And today we're certainly here to share Peter's celebration of his personal and professional services associated with being Rochester Rotary's president. But I'm also here today to thank our whole Rochester staff, our whole team really, for a superb effort that they've put forth this past year. Despite my calling many times and looking for Peter and finding him, quote, out of our office, where else would he be? I really couldn't figure that out. These 6 individuals really have worked hard to provide him with the support that he's needed to be able to do the job here. Howard Smith is here today, along with, well, Matt D'Angelo is not here, Tracy Rogers, Mike Taylor, and Peter Kelderhouse Jr., and I'm not sure if he's related or not. I haven't figured that out. And Anita Festa really deserve a special thanks today. You know, before I left this morning, also, I came up today from Poughkeepsie. I had our personnel people go through our files, excuse me, and they informed me that this team, these 6 people, without Peter, have served 50 years, have 50 years of furniture rental experience with our company. With Peter's time included, it totals to 150. So this really just goes to show you how committed these people are to continuing our company's success. And if I could, I'd like to ask Peter Jr., who's our warehouse manager, and Anita Festa, our assistant manager, to come up and receive a small token of both Peter's and my, although he doesn't know anything about this, and my appreciation for their involvement here with our company. And if I could, I just want to take a little time to read this. The inscription says, "The credit belongs." The credit belongs to those who are actually in the arena, who strive valiantly, who know the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spend themselves in a worthy cause, who at the best know the triumph of a high achievement, and who at the worst, if they fail, fail while daring greatly, so that their place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. And that was a quote by Theodore Roosevelt. So thank you very much, both of you. So, and sometimes I've got to ask myself that while Peter was president of Rotary, of this prestigious, really prestigious Rotary Club, I have to say, I wondered what was happening, and I was concerned. I really was concerned about where we were going to be. Obviously out of our office and spending time down here. So Peter, we're about ready to put together next year's budgets. And is it going to be 15% with you there, or 2%?
We'll work on 8+.
So no, all kidding aside, I'd like to congratulate Peter for his fine efforts, and I've also brought along something for him. And unfortunately, the company that sent the wrong thing, and I'm going to try to describe what I actually did order for Peter. It's and I do have the one that they did send, which is a picture of a canoe with a big success on it. But in fact, what I did order was a picture of a hardball, a baseball, tattered and worn on the infield of a baseball diamond. And underneath it, it says, "The harder you work, the luckier you are." So, and I also want to read the inscription that we put a little plaque on it here that says, "Congratulations on your successful Rotary presidency. We are looking forward to having you back on the home team." Sherman's Furniture, June 1995. We'd like to thank you for extending Rotary and extending yourself off to this group. But there's one other thing that did occur. I mean, this is a big occasion in Poughkeepsie, and I understand that you went ill-equipped without proper dress. Is this correct? It seems that you took off in such a hurry and excitement that you didn't take a suit with you.
That's right. Absolutely.
But this picture shows you with a suit on.
Well, I'm in the rental business.
Does Jim know the extension of his rental business into clothing now?
It wasn't a tuxedo, it was an after-6 suit.
Okay. Did you also rent a Rotary pen?
I have it on.
It's not in the picture.
It's tiny. But
pleaded to you earlier, I'm not going to plead again, but trust me, as your president, I would not lie to you. I did wear my pin,
Okay.
as you do wherever you go.
That's right.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
great. I'll accept that. Good. You got out of that
Still
one.
got it.
We could throw the four-way test in here, but we won't. And going with my year, when I gave a fine, it was let your conscience be your guide. With numbers of $600,000, et cetera, I will let your conscience be your guide, because throughout this whole year, you've been trying to get people to come to lunch with you, and you've always ended up paying whether they were there or not. So I know that was a considerable donation for you. Well, you know the exact price, $450, okay? And you can divide that by 25 any way you like. Okay, thank you, Pete. Now, at this time, I would like to introduce the gentlemen that sit down in front of me. And if you would hold your applause until they are all introduced, we can get through this quickly. Senior active, formerly Banking Services, member since '78. Tom Mees, Club President, 91-92, Senior Active. President, Signaling Systems, member since '73.
Just have one question.
Thank you, Tom. Bob Maney, President, 90-91, Senior Active, Senior VP, Investments, Prudential Securities, member since '81. John Hart, Club President, 88-89, Senior Active, formerly Merchandise Miscellaneous Department Stores, member since '65. Don Elhart with a roving eye, Club President, 87-88, Senior Active, Associate News Director, WOKR TV 13, member since '76. Hugh Velopek, President, 86-87, Senior Active, Manufacturers Rep, UNY Marketing, member since '59. Don Forsythe, Club President, 84-85, current President of the Rochester Rotary Charitable Trust, Senior Active Member, formerly Law Partner of Kaufman Forsythe, member since '76. Bob Buckpitt, 83-84, Senior Active, President Buckpitt and Company, member since '58. Eric Zangline, President, 82-83, Club Assistant, or current Assistant Club Treasurer, Senior Active, formerly Investment Services, Contractual Investment Plans, member since '66. Bob Jackson, President, 81-82, Senior Active, President, Jackson Welding Supply, member since '74. John Sweat, President, 78-79, past District Governor, 87-88, Senior Active Member, formerly Law, Banking, member since '67. Ray Keller, President, 77-78, current Rochester Rotary Service Foundation President. That's a little incorrect, I think you're passed, right. Senior Active Member, Sales Rep, AV Towner Incorporated, member since '67. Jim Foley. Jim was president in 75-76. Harm Potter, President 74-75, honorary member, member since 1964. Al Davis, President 60-61, Senior Active, formerly Education Colleges and Universities, RIT, member since '49. And the Dean of our organization of past presidents, Pat Cherney, President 58-59, District Governor 64-65, Senior Active, formerly Engineering Mechanical, member since '46. And let's thank all these gentlemen for all the years. Not in front of them. And we thank you for all of the time that you spent with him this year and the previous years. I guess a lot of the past presidents think alike, because Don Elhart got up here and gave his top 10 list. I also had prepared a top 10 list, but I won't go through it at this point in the essence of time. But there are a couple of things on the list that I would like to say that, you know, you really are a past president when your name is no longer at the top of the letterhead of the stationery. And the other really important thing is you really know that you're a past president when you look down at your lapel and you see the past president's pin and you wear it with pride. So if you would stand up here, we'll do that exchange, please. Thank you. Now you're going to wear that pin when you travel all around, whether it's the district or wherever you go, Pete. But as a constant reminder of what you have done for this club for this year and all the friends that you have made throughout the district and also new members in the club, we'd like to present this plaque to you, Peter W. Kelderhouse Sr., Rotary Club President of Rochester, New York, 1944, or 1994, 95. It's tough up there. I do have one more duty, and at the meeting the other night of the advisory committee, we took a vote as to whether or not we should allow Pete into our fraternity. I brought it up basically at the beginning of the meeting so that we would have everyone's attention, and we had 2 votes yes, 1 vote no, and the balance were all abstentions with a real rounding enthusiasm, not to really let Pete in, but to bring Ann in instead. So with that, I look at the dean of our group. Is that a correct tally, Pat Cherney?
Well, I'm not too sure.
Uh-oh.
But I think that as long as I have the age on all of them, I would agree to bring them in.
Okay, it's unanimous. Does that agree with everyone else down here? No? Yes, Don.
I was going to vote for him, but just a little while ago, he violated the 4-way test because Andy Hale had retained me to defend him for his crime. He has beat me out of my fee, and that doesn't jive with the 4-way test, so I have to vote no.
No. Are there any more dissenting votes down here?
Tom, you got a question? Could I say one thing?
You've already said Is there a show of hands that we really should and not break precedent and allow Pete to join our group? For the show of hands?
What's the initiation?
It looks like it. Okay, congratulations, Pete. We're glad to have you with us. Will have to join me down at the lower table though for the end of the meeting.
A year, I had the opportunity to meet your new president, work with him, and Matt Adams is going to more than do what we've done over the years. He's going to lead us on to a magical year, and it is my pleasure and privilege to introduce to you your new president, Matt Adams.
Thank you very much, and you have your presents.
We're not finished yet, Pete. I have here a plaque from the office of the mayor of the city of Rochester, New York. And Pete, I'd like to present this to you now, and I'd like to read you the inscription on this plaque. Whereas Peter W. Kelderhouse Sr. has been president of Rochester Rotary this past year, and whereas in pursuit of his duties, he has distinguished himself as a community leader of great renown, and whereas the members of Rochester Rotary have come to appreciate his good works and devotion to the city of Rochester, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, June 27th, 1995, as Peter W. Kelderhouse Sr. Day in Rochester, New York, in recognition of his service during the year. I would just like to take a moment, please, to introduce your new president-elect, Bob Moore. Bob, would you please join me at the podium? We have a dynamite array of meetings scheduled for the balance of this year. There will, however, be no meeting on July 4th. On July 11th, our speaker will be Don Alhart, who will share the magic with us. And on July 18th, Eric Hanishek, professor of economics at the University of Rochester, who will begin what will become a series on education throughout the balance of this year, and his subject will be the cost of education. And now, a thought for the week. Pride makes us do things well. It is love that makes us do them to perfection. Meeting adjourned.
You gave me the hint. I said, let me know when, and I'll do it. What a surprise.